Hello again, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Noble Father Podcast. I am your host Theophilus Strong, and today is the day after Father's Day, and I just wanted to wish you all a happy Noble Father's Day on behalf of me and my family and my community as well. If you're joining us for the first time, this podcast, this community is really about speaking into the hearts of fathers and getting fathers to open up about life. A common thing you'll hear a lot is there's a lot of moms groups out there, and there's not a lot of dads groups. There are dads groups, and I'm a part of those. Most of them are on Facebook, and they're not very social. Let's just say and so one of the things we did was sought to put social back into social media, and we centered around meetups, online meetups. And so if you're a father who is looking for that kind of community, definitely reach out. We are now a membership community, and so it does take a little bit of investment in yourself, but for the value of what you're putting in, you're getting a lot more back. And I might be biased. You can ask the members of my community. They'll be more than happy to tell you about what this community has meant to them. And it's just great to be able to open up your heart to people who actually care and want to see the best in you, and also aren't okay with the results that they see in their own lives, and thus push themselves to further that. Today, as I was thinking about what to record for the podcast, with it being a day after Father's Day, just like to look back a year and think of all the people who have really impacted my journey this year as a father. And I feel like it really marks an important calendar for us as fathers, right? This is almost the halfway point of the 2024 year. And, I'd like to really just give out shout outs to everybody through this episode and really just talk about everybody who's really influenced my life as a father this year and share a bit about what that impact may be. And so I'm going to list these off, and what I want to say before is I may not mention you specifically by name, but if you know me, you had some kind of impact. And there's no way that I could list off every single person's name. This episode would never come to an end. Every person contributes a little bit, and the person that's standing here before you right now recording this is impacted by that small contribution. And so no matter how small that is, even if you're not mentioned in this episode, please do not lose heart. I love you, and I care very much for you, and I very much treasure and value what you contributed to this product right now. This is obviously in no particular order. The first few, I'd say it's in this order, and it needs to be in this order because that is how, there are some that have impacted me more than others, and I'm not gonna, I'm not belittling the little ones, but I'm just saying that these people are the ones that are really close, really dear, and have contributed largely to what you're seeing right now. First and foremost, God. I would not be here right now, period, if it weren't for God. I wouldn't be speaking into these things if I hadn't undergone certain experiences growing up. If I didn't have the father or mother that I grew up with, I wouldn't be here right now. And that depends how far you want to go back, right, to the beginning of time. God knew me before I was even born. He knit me together in the womb. And, I believe that about you as well. God, without him and his beautiful orchestration, Noble Father would not exist. It would not be here. And so first and foremost, glory goes to God. He gets all the credit. And I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for him. If he wasn't sustaining us, I wouldn't be doing this either. Who knows? My life would be meaningless really without God. And he is my higher power. He is my existence. He is my reason for being. And so thank you, Lord, for this awesome podcast and the opportunity to be able to do this work. Now, obviously, without God, I wouldn't have my wife as well. And, my wife is, my wife Echo, definitely. I would be a wreck of a man and definitely not as good of a father if not for her. As she does things very well. She's very on top of it and, very eager to call me out on the things that I, my missteps, my misalignments, and she doesn't co-sign my bullshit. Like she is very on top of it. And when I think about the type of father that I would be if not for her, she's a major portion of that. God really put her in my life to straighten out a broken and imperfect person in myself. And I wouldn't be half the father if not for my wife. And so definitely need to give her gratitude and recognize that she is a major part of Noble Father. Part of the retreat, last year, actually, we've already been a year since the retreat last year in Orlando with Dan, Nate, and Jose and myself. And one of the biggest highlights for that trip, even though we did so much, right? We saw rocket launch, right? Went to do shark tooth hunting, swam in a natural spring. Man, there's so many things and highlights that I wanted to hold on to. And I feel like the biggest deal was like getting to see how Dan and Jose did life with their families, getting to meet them is the additional context that we don't get on the online meetups. And that's what makes me look forward to this year in August, is because we got more coming and there's going to be more context and more people, they get to see my family, get to see my church family, get to see my friends, and, maybe even get to meet my parents, right? Like that part of context of relationships is what deepens our bonds with one another. And so, where was I going with that? That getting to see them do life together was so amazing. And so, my wife and my family definitely contribute to me being a father, the father that I am this year, and that I am today. So definitely thank you, babe, for helping me be a better man, helping me be a better father. I wouldn't be a father obviously without my children. So David and Ellie as well, getting to see them grow up, getting to see them play with one another, fight with each other. Man, you get me up in the morning. You guys, I strive to be the best father that I can be. And even then I am imperfect. And, you are my pride and joy. And so I wouldn't be a father without them. And so there's no way I could do shoutouts without mentioning their names. Definitely they are my pride and joy. And they are a Noble Father's pride and joy, for sure. My dad would be the next on that list, I would say. Even though he wasn't as present as I would have liked in my childhood, I do remember seeing an example of a man who served his community, who served others. And later I recognized that, hey, I was blessed to have the father that I did. He was out serving those who were not as blessed as us. And God's calling for him, he took on the torch of. And so, countless lives, so many seeds planted, so many souls won for God's kingdom. And there was a time in my life where I dreamt of being a pastor because of my dad, because of seeing him. And I definitely see him as a superhero, out there to change the world. And he's given tirelessly to that end since giving his life to God. And so, a man of God, man after God's own heart, my dad definitely is one of those people. And I've learned so much from him. And even just in marriage and in fatherhood and in vocation, right, in ministry, in work, and giving of his time, and now get to see him as a grandfather, is a joy. Yeah, my dad is a very special man, and it has greatly contributed to what Noble Father is today. Now, without my dad, obviously, without my mom either, without my mom, wouldn't have my dad. And so, thank you, Mom, for saying yes to Dad all those years ago. I know you said no to him a few times before he finally said yes. But yeah, without you, Mom, I wouldn't be here either. And so I want to say thank you for who you are in my life, the patience that you've given to us. When we go through our prodigal son journeys, you have been so patient, and you are a woman of prayer, just as your mother was. And yeah, I want to shout out my grandmother as well. She's passed away already, but I knew from a young age that she was a woman of prayer, and she would never stop praying. She'd always ask us how we're doing, and this wouldn't be a podcast. I wouldn't be here today if not for her prayers. Definitely definitely somebody that I looked up to constantly. Um, yeah, so now that, with family kind of, not out of the way, I would say that, there's people who are close, like family, like brothers, and, like sisters to me. Um, you know, um, yeah, you know what? Yeah, my sisters as well, Trevina and Talia, you guys, you know, made me to be the man that I am. And, the skills of raising from that I got from raising you guys, though I like to say that I was experienced, my wife says I was naive to think that I could convince her that that is transferable experience. It's not. I was, I learned a lot growing up raising you guys. And, yeah, you guys are also pride and joy of an older brother. I wish things were better for you guys, and I wish that I had done certain things better, but, you guys contributed greatly to who your brother and where he's at now with Noble Father, and I always look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do next in life, and how God is going to use you guys powerfully for His kingdom. And I know that you guys are not on that walk, and that's okay. God has His timing and His patience, and I'm learning to trust that. Yeah, my friend Alex, Alex Rousey. Oh man, he's got a wonderful new video, new song that he put out. He made it at Wild Man, and man, just seeing how you do life and how far you've come from when we first met 3 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago. Man, I just think of all the adventures we had: camping, jiu-jitsu with cold dipping, and your music, right? Podcasting, the workouts, the crazy workouts all the time, like, and even your baptism and your faith, man, and how far you've come doing merch at church, and man, the last 3 years, if I had to choose one person outside of God and Echo, I would probably say the biggest impact on my fatherhood was you, and seeing how you do life, how you guide, and how you lead, and man, going through what you're going through with your brother, is difficult, but you do it with such grace, and how God has used you powerfully, and how you've leaned in, with people, and you are a warrior for God's kingdom, and you bring so much light to this world, and you move me so much to be a better father every single day, and so greatly appreciate you for that. Wow. Yeah, these next four, these guys have been tireless allies for my work for Noble Father. In no particular order, I need to give these names. Nate Aris in Michigan. You guys have probably heard me mention his name before. Got to meet Nate last year in Orlando, and we spent the bulk of our time together, because we were coming from out of state, out of Florida. We were, he's in Michigan, I'm in Canada, so we're, kind of northerners, and, got to spend a lot of time with Nate. And, Nate is a guy who is very present now. I still remember every single one of these names. I still remember their first time in our meetups. And, there's this apprehension, hesitation, right? But man, really leaned in, and, I almost like live and die on his encouragement for my podcast episodes, because, he's such a loyal guy, and, is so willing to help. And and Dan and I call him Nate the Wise, because he's so wise, and the way that the perspectives that he gives in the different scenarios and the context of life, the difficulties in life, he's always so present, and he's always so wise with his words, and it moves you to think of other perspectives, right? And it's always, and when especially when he gives the Bible, it's like you need to consider that viewpoint. So Nate, yeah, man, like, I would not be doing this without you, brother, and like, I'll always cherish that time that we had in Orlando, that first hug, rubbing your back with aloe vera. Can't believe I'm expressing that on the podcast. This is going to be before thousands one day, and they're going to remember this. But yeah, wonderful memories. Definitely value you in my life. You are a friend that's closer than a brother. And that's something I can't say thank you enough for. Seeing how you lead your family as well has impacted me as a father. And man, I value you. I value your friendship. And man, one of the things I've said about this community is, you're happy that you have this community, but at the same time, my heart shudders to think of when we have to say goodbye, because there will come that day. And I don't look forward to that day at all. I could just only hope that, we see each other again in heaven. And so Dan also, one of the tireless followers, fan, supporter of this podcast, of the community, the decisions that we've had to make. Man, I've always gone to Dan. He's always so quick to message and say and ask me how my weekend was. And man, and he's a father that embodies presence. I got to meet his wife as well and his kids and how he does family. In Orlando last year, it was such a eye-opening experience. And what's crazy is, like, you have this hesitation of like going to see somebody that you met online, because you kind of like, expectations are premeditated resentments, right? You don't know what they're about, but then because I shared space with Dan and with Nate and with Perry and Jose and all these other guys, getting to see them in person, and learning that they're not different from online is like, because social media is just like this place where we put our facade. It's not where we put our real selves on. So it's very easy to be two-faced about it. But when I met Dan, it was like, he was not two-faced. That's just Dan. And Dan is who he is online and who he is in person. And man, the impact you have on me, brother, through our Bible study times, through our brief chats on the Discord, man, I've walked away a better person, and I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this without you and your support. I greatly appreciate your presence in my life. Jose was one of the original 9. And we only have, I think, only 2 of them from the original 9 still come out to the Noble Father meetups. And Jose is a man who is, a grandfather example to me. He is an example of the grandfather that I want to be one day. The way that he leads his family is second to none. And man, getting to meet you in Orlando was pride and joy. And value your wisdom. Your wisdom is what I carry with me. So remember the conversation we had on the podcast, and man, the story that you have is just so powerful, and God is using you in such amazing ways. And the way you've leaned into not staying in that hole, right? You always reference this, and it's commendable, dude. If I can be half the man you are at that age, I would call my life an incredible success. And so thank you for being a presence in this, for Noble Father in your life. You're doing it. You are a success. I know times might be difficult, but you are a success. My brother Perry, man, BC brother. I remember meeting you, and man, you're just as real in person as you are online. And what you're doing in the realm of addiction, and just the presence that you bring and leaning in, the way that you lean in, and the support that you've given me, the different mannerisms and the things that you say, like potato chips or just the different funny things that you say. You have a room at our house that's named after you, and that's how big of an impact you have. My kids think so highly of you, and they love having you around. And it's obvious because you have a countenance about you, and the person that you are is it's inviting. It is it's so loving. And I pray for you all the time, bro. And you've impacted Noble Father to be what it is today. And so, if you're a member of the community, just know that without Perry, this wouldn't be a product. It wouldn't be the product that it is today. Constantly pushes me to grow and to be better, and calls me out, right, straight up, because that's what we need in life. Without that, it wouldn't be what it is. Next on the list, Pastor Dwayne. I am wanting to very much share the message that he gave yesterday at church. It is exactly what my community needs to hear, what the fathers in this world need to hear, that encouragement. If there's ever a man who is doing the work, it is definitely Pastor Dwayne. And when I see your family and the way that you lead your kids, and with Elijah, Micah, and Jesse, and Ethan, and even just how you are with Mel, your wife is a if my kids turn out like your kids, I would call it an incredible success. And man, you've led your family well. You've led in your relationship well. You've led as a man well. And Noble Father would definitely not be what it is without mentors and examples like you, and just the way that you lead in all of those domains. Every single thing you touch is blessed by God, and that is amazing. Even just MRCC, the way you've led that church and that community, to be able to serve with you now as an elder with you is I can't even. God gets the glory, that orchestration, and just the way that you guys are in my life for this purpose, and I'm so glad you guys have raised the bar and shown me what it can be, and inspires me to be better in my life. And so, you can't really, it's like Batman and Robin. You can't really say Dwayne without Pastor Jason. Pastor Jason has been a part of this podcast and this work and this vision and in my life as well. When I'm going through the identity stuff, Pastor Jason was always there, and our conversations that he constantly pours into me has enabled me to be the person that I am today, to be the father that I am today, the spiritual walk, the spiritual friend that I am with God, the spiritual son that I am with God. Would not be the same without Pastor Jason. You've heard me reference him on these podcasts many times before. Pastor Jason, just the way that you lead with your wife and your kids as well. Get to interact with them, even when you're not there. I had a good conversation with them yesterday. Just such good hearts and good heads on their shoulders, and that wouldn't be without a good, noble father, and you're definitely one of those. And so I look up to that example every single day. In mentioning Jason, I guess, and mentioning Dwayne, you got to mention Phil and Ed. I know that, Dwayne, you said that, Ed, it's been 2 years, a year since you've lost your dad. And, Pastor Ed was a great example in my life as well. And, he led so well. And Phil as well. You guys both, fathers of noble fathers. And you guys are now noble grandfathers, and you got kids that are running around, and these guys are going to be world changers. And, Phil, you know how much you mean to me just on this podcast. You're the smile that you bring, and, the warmth that you bring, and the encouragement that you give me for this podcast every single week is one in which that I could never overlook. I'm glad to have you in my life. I praise and thank God for that presence and, everything that you bring. And so thank you for contributing to what the Noble Father is today. Quentin Paris, met you through jiu-jitsu, right? Our kids started rolling together, and now we just develop into this friendship, and getting to see how you do life with your family, how you lead, and how you make, you're so on top of it. You're so busy as a teacher, and yet you make all this time to make food for your family and take care of them. And then you bring on more. You got international students at your house. You are so active at church. Just the way that you lead as a man and as a father is moving me. I mean, all to do with dogs and puppies and everything, and all these things that you're involved in, man. It makes me think like I'm not active enough, and getting to see you and the friendship that we've gotten to build over the years, and golly, just to see you lead your son Mason, who got baptized recently. Just you and Kayla have been such a tremendous help and such a tremendous example in my life, And I'm so glad God put you guys in our lives, and get to call you a friend. Kinson as well, good friendship there. I forgot how we circled back around. Went to the same high school, and then to come together again, and man, seeing your walk and the journey that you've had. Our family values that friendship that we have with you guys, and how you and Renata lead your children. There are times where I haven't been that good of a friend, and I ask for your forgiveness. You guys have been tireless in just being good friends, and we're so glad and blessed to have you guys in it. Golf, oh man, yeah, golf came in my life in such a way. And, kind of really the first Asian brother in the Noble Father community. And I know you've gone through a lot, but seeing how you've become the man that you said you were going to be. And, I can't believe you doubted yourself that you weren't going to be a good father. Bro, it was in you from day one. And I just want to say how much that means to me. You've impacted my life in such a way. You've impacted Noble Father in such a way, and the way that you go, the depth that you go to, man, is I can't believe I'm on this journey. If it wasn't for you, it would be very different for sure. Ruben Loya as well. Man, the stuff that he's going through, just a man after God's own heart, and just the way that he leads in his life, going through cancer and through the military and everything along with that, right? And through the mental health struggles that you're going through right now. I'm so glad to have you in my corner, and that I get to be in your corner and get to see how you are pioneering the way, and you get to lead, in your life and in the things that you're doing in the ministry that God calls you to. If you're into Spider-Man, definitely go check it out. His tag is Spider-Man 4, the number 4 cause. And he's looking to break a world record this year for Just Dance. He's already confirmed it with the Guinness Book of Records. And man, it'll be cool to be able to say, I know a Guinness World Record breaker. Because you are going to do it. I have no doubt in my mind that you are going to be able to do that, brother. And you contribute to Noble Father beyond anything I could ever say, beyond the words. I also need to shout out these other guys. They have contributed to the Patreon, to my membership community, and also to the community itself. They show up on the calls, and they have contributed themselves, held space for others, and given their advice and opened their hearts out to us. And that is no small feat. Getting to see you guys and in calling your names out, this is because this journey has been a frustrating one, right? You've seen my post where I've sent out like 700 messages to men, and half of them say they're interested, and then half of that actually sign up, and then even more, half of that show up on the calls, and then even half of that ends up being consistent. And once we went from being a free community to a paid membership, man, it was like a fraction of what we started out. Still make it out and want to invest in themselves. And so these are members that are either continuing to contribute or have contributed at one point in time and are no longer with us. I want to call out these names because these guys are just as important, and all your impact in my life, not just from a supportive standpoint, but you've contributed to the existence of this community, and it wouldn't be what it is today without it. These patrons are Charles Rattan, Jason Calvert. Man, you guys have given a lot to this community as well, and you guys always giving suggestions and opening your heart out is so important, and dishing out the wisdom that you have. Jason Cravenger, Chris Sharon, Yufeng Chang, Hedrickson Spang, Chad Hall, Rob Holt, Jacob Buklowski, John Millett, Original 9, Tej Cantu, Richard Tracy, Donovan Robinson, Ron Curry, Cohen Briers, Ryan Alty, Trevor Williamson, Simon Sayers, Aaron Scheitel, Josh Feenstra, William Shimpano, Trenton Bailey. You guys are the patrons. You guys have contributed to this. You guys have opened your heart out to the community. And this project wouldn't be what it is without your support. All the stuff that you're seeing, just the camera, the chair behind me, this microphone, the microphone arm, this whole setup. If not for some of that, the contribution, I wouldn't still be doing this. And so, obviously that's beyond monetary. You guys have supported in ways that I can't even say. And I only hope that you've walked away better as a result of that investment, which I've seen the results in your lives from being a part of the community. It's almost undeniable the value that you can get from this. And to the rest of the community, there's so many others that have contributed to this podcast, to this community, to this membership, and would not be here without you guys contributing, helping in that regard. I definitely value, I forgot to mention my brother, and, I know that it's been a difficult journey for you, and it's something that I wear heavily because, I blame myself a lot for where you have ended up. And we may not agree a lot, you're born the year of the dragon, I'm born year of the tiger. From that, superstitious point of view, that's a lot of clashing, that's a lot of fighting, and our lives have definitely been that. And yet, I think I take the brunt of it, and I definitely could have done that a lot better. And so, part of my upbringing, the ones that I challenged God on when he called me noble, I said, Lord, you still see me like this after what I've done to my brother, after what I've done to my family, in my own life. My brother was one of those. But, seeing you be a father to your kids, seeing how you lead in business, how you walk through life, given the cards that you were dealt, you have inspired me to be better as well. And, I can't, there's no words, no no gratitude that I can give for that contribution. Before we had our sisters, it was just me and you. And, who I am today is very much a product of that relationship and that brotherhood. And, I only wish the best for you, for sure. I know that, you've encouraged me greatly through this podcast and through this work and through our relationship, and getting to see how you lead your son and your daughters now. It's moving, it's powerful, and so I want to commend that for sure. And all the friends out there who have continued to support me and to show their encouragement of me, always asking about how the podcast is coming along, how is that work going. You may not contribute to the Patreon, you might not do any of those things, but your words of encouragement and your prayer for this work is, it doesn't go overlooked. I don't belittle that. I very much value that, and I need that support. And so thank you for contributing to this podcast the way that it is. And I continue to push myself, because of that. And so thank you so much, all of these people, every single one that was mentioned, and that was, that you guys were, and even those that have contributed to Noble Father from what it is right now. And I only look forward to more people one day, to be able to share this and say, to give that shout out and say thank you for being an impact in my life, through this community. And so, if you're listening to this, you're interested in memberships or interested in the meetup, right? We have a Wednesday meetup that meets at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, where we talk about faith, we talk about the Bible, we talk about spiritual topics, right? Dilemmas and things that we're navigating together, right? You might not believe in God, and that's okay. It's a space really open to everybody. Thursday is our main meetup. We meet at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time as well. And it's really a space to really be yourself, for fathers to open up their hearts and share about the difficulties that they're going through, and to find support and to find others who have either gone through it or are going through it. We have so many fathers from different walks of life that it's amazing to get to. It's a wide sample size of fathers. Some are going through custody divorce, some are going through military PTSD, some are going through divorces or separations, or going through addictions, are in business. There's so many different things, and I feel like everybody always brings something to the table. And those meetups, I've never ever regretted a meetup. I've never regretted going to a meetup. I've gone to every single one, I think, except one in the past 2.5 years, and it has always been the highlight of my week. And so if you're interested in that, definitely reach out. I'd love to get you hooked up with that. We are a paid community, and so it does require you to pay a monthly subscription fee. And we can't keep it that low forever. It's $25 a month right now, USD. It can't be that low forever, because the value that we're giving is unbelievable. That's 8 meetings that I've just mentioned. If you say it to 4, that's really $6 a meeting. For the friendships that I've gotten out of this relationship, out of this community, I can't put a dollar value to it. These are people that when they pass away, I'm gonna fly over to say goodbye. These are people that I will do and move mountains for. What is that worth, right? Free. I was telling my son this morning. There's a cost to freedom. There's a cost to things that are free, right? What does that cost? Well, there's going to be groups out there, hundreds of thousands of dads, where you share your heart, and people are going to crap on you. People are going to step on you, and toxicity everywhere, and they're going to downplay you, and they're going to call you names. Our community is not that. But also, I've invested money into this community. I've invested my blood, my sweat, my tears, all into this venture, and yet I need to be constant. I need to take care of my family for that. And so that is why we've required that. Also for fathers, they need to invest in themselves. They need to have skin in the game, and that's why we went the premium route. Anyways, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope you had a wonderful Father's Day if you're a father. And for the mothers out there, thank you for continuing to allow us to do what we do. Without you, you are the other half of the equation. Thank you for being there. Thank you for helping us be. Without you, without mothers, there wouldn't be fathers. Without fathers, there wouldn't be mothers. And there's this, and that is something that we cannot overstate. This society is starting to create division between us, and there shouldn't be. Let's support one another to be better for our children, for the future of the world. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Until next week, don't forget, we are not promised tomorrow. So be present and stay noble. Bye for now.